Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope you had a great Easter, and obviously we didn't do any live streaming or anything of that nature the day before Easter on Saturday. So we've had a little bit of a break from each other, haven't we? And I've been engaged in a lot of other things as well, as I'm sure you have been too. So we've all been busy, and now it's kind of time to get back into some sort of a routine with our Tuesday and our Saturday live streams. Now today I've got a really different sewing machine that I'm going to be doing some basic sewing on, and I will confess to you up front, it's the first time I've had this machine on the workbench, and even after going through the manual, which covers three different machines, the earliest version of the 600 series for this particular Opal machine was this machine here, the 650. Later, they added a 670 and a 690Q, where it actually had a touch screen you could use as well using a stylus. So when you're looking through this manual, you'll start to read something about the features or the functions of the machine, and then you'll have to read the small print to say, does it relate to the 650? Is it exclusive to the 670? Or is it only on the 690Q? So I got confused a couple of times about, well, why isn't the machine able to do this? Or why isn't this here where they say it is? And it's because they want to save money. And so they take a manual and they combine three machines into the manual. And sometimes it's not really clear how they're distinguishing which machine does what. So I'm going to be more of a student today. And if Sherry, the owner of this, if Sherry were here, having had this machine for over 10 years, I'm guessing that she would be able to steer me to a lot more of the features and the functions of this model 650 than I'll be able to demonstrate during this live stream today. And that's okay, because I say it all the time. The owner of the sewing machine is going to have a higher level of intimacy with that machine than I can with the relatively brief amount of time that we spend together on the workbench. So I'll show you what I can show you, and then I'll be getting this machine back to Sherry. And Sherry came by way of Joanne's. Joanne's over in Marinette, Wisconsin. My friend's over there. She came in and was talking about issues with this model 650. It's been her go-to machine, like I said, for over a decade. And they gave her one of my cards. And initially she read it, and it said something like vintage. Let me grab one. So these are my two cards that I usually hand out at Joann's. I've got one that has this cute little machine that's sick, and I've got a traditional spoked wheel type vintage machine. And she said to them, it looks like he's more of a vintage guy. Can he fix a computerized machine like this? And they said, yeah, he can fix anything. So I'll take that as a big vote of confidence from the Joann's people. I haven't found a machine yet that I can't figure out when something is not working on it, but you never know, right? You never know. You might find that one rare unicorn of a machine that is just a lot of challenges, and it's hard to overcome them, but I don't give up easily. Now, the challenge with this machine being computerized, you might be surprised if you learn what the problem was with it. First of all, I'll start with a question before I go into this. This is obviously, if I bring the camera over and give you a frontal shot of it, there it is. It's obviously Husqvarna Viking Opal model 650. You can see it right there. Where was this machine made? What do you think? Where was this machine made? I'll tell you, it came out about 12 to 13 years ago was when they originally rolled this model out, about 12 to 13 years ago. Where do you think it came from? Was it Swedish made? Was it Swedish design? Was it something entirely different? Also, the second question is, this is a machine that's got a fairly large harp space, got a good workspace here as well. What size motor do you think this machine comes with compared to our typical green machines? Our green machines that you're going to see on this channel quite a bit are 19Es, like we saw recently, 19E specials, 21Es, 21As, Type 21s. It sounds like a Baskin Robbins almost, doesn't it, of Husqvarnas. But what do you think? Where was it made, and what size motor do we have on this Husqvarna Model 650, the Opal flavor, the Opal version, as they call it? I'll bring this over here, I think, a little bit. I'm going to slide this over a little bit. I'm running out of workbench space here. All right, let's give that a try, see if that works a little bit better. All right, let me look at the live chat and just see what y'all are saying. Okay. So let me say good mornings, first of all. I'll say good morning to Susie. And Susie is just a go-to on it, ready, get it done type gal. I'm just kind of prepping up the live stream. There's several screens when I set up a live stream that I have to go through. And apparently when I'm going through those screens, once I say, let's set up a live stream, and I'm going through those different screens, setting different defaults and preferences and live chat replay, blah, 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 all that stuff. Apparently there's some visibility already to all of you that, hey, there's a live stream that's going to be coming on, because I didn't even click the last button and Susie was already in the live chat. I thought, holy mackerel, they move quick in Minnesota. They move quick in Minnesota. Susie was just like, whoa, I'm ready. So good morning to Susie, first of all, our wonderful go-getter. Good morning to Al Koss. Good morning to Emma. And that looks like, Candido. Welcome to Candido as well. And it looks like some of you are saying, what about Thailand? Is it from Thailand? The answer is no, it is not from Thailand. It is not from Thailand. It is not from the Philippines. It's not from India. It's not from, where are some of our other makers? I mean, they're all over the place now. So the answer is it's not from Thailand. That was our guess. That was our guess so far. Not from Thailand. Not from Thailand. Show you the front of the machine again, see if that helps at all. Like I said, we're only going to be covering this machine at a fairly high level today. We'll be going through some of the functions and features of it. We're not going to even delve into all of these stitches that it can do. I'll just show you these stitches across the top real quick. We might try some of them out, but All right, let me take a look again here. So no one is guessing. No one is guessing other than I think Al Koss said um, Thailand. It's not made in Thailand. And I would be hard pressed to show you the nomenclature plate. Normally they put it on the back of the machine, kind of on the rear of the pillar. But on this particular model 650 by Husqvarna Viking, it's on the bottom of the machine. So it's really hard, for me to kind of tilt this machine back and show you on the bottom. But I can tell you that this machine, it has Swedish design, but it was in fact made in China. It in fact came out of the Husqvarna Chinese division, and yeah, they're the ones that produced it. So a lot of manufacturers going into the 1990s started to move to third country type production because it saved them a buku amount of money, a lot of money in the production, making it elsewhere. And let's just face it, they not only did that with sewing machines, but they do it with cars. They do it with a lot of things because they're trying to increase their profit margin and reduce their production cost. So this is, in fact, I was going to get playful with the title, and I might still edit the title a little bit, but I was going to put down something like that: Swedish beauty with a hankering for egg rolls. A Swedish beauty with a hankering for egg rolls. But I didn't know if someone would get my weird sense of humor, or if, who knows, maybe we'll offend some of our friends over in China. I don't know. But the reality is that was just the phase of the way they handled sewing machines. And some sewing machine manufacturers moved to third country production much, much earlier, like Kenmore. And some of the white brands as well started being made over in Japan as early as the 1950s. So it's been going on for a long time, and it's kind of the direction we're going. And I don't think there's any turning back. Now, as far as the size of the motor, someone had put in, I think 1.4. It was Susie from Minnesota. When I asked about motor size on this mini quilting style machine, this Opal 650, I asked about size of the motor, because we had that other quilting machine on the workbench recently, and we were talking about the size of the motor on that. I talked about the power and the engineering and that sort of thing. This one's going to have a much smaller motor than you might suspect. It's nowhere close to a 1.4. A 1.4 would be the same size motor that we just had on that. What was that machine? I'm dealing with so many machines right now. You'll have to forgive me. 1.4. You guys remember that machine we just had? It had a 1.4 on the back of it. I want to say it was a FOF 130, 130-6 that I ended up shipping back out to our friend Tennille out in Oregon, right? I think it was out in Oregon. We had that FOF 130-6 that had the 1.4 amp motor. And it was an unusual motor to have on that machine. Normally it's going to be somewhere between a 1.1 amp to a 1.3 amp motor is what's going to be on most of those FOFs. This particular Opal 650, I'll tell you what, I'll give you three guesses. And you could type in the live chat what you think. I'll give you three guesses. Oh, good morning to Bill as well from Minnesota. Good morning to Bill, and AKA good morning to Nora, Bill's dog, and also Bill's daughter as well, that I showed a picture of on Facebook after she got her hat and recently celebrated a birthday as well. So happy belated birthday to Bill's daughter also. So not a 0.6. Oh, okay. Susie just typed in an answer, so I'll forego the drama of giving you options. Emma's now saying a 0.7. Let me tell you that one of the answers that the ladies just typed, either 0.6, 0.7, or 0.8 is correct. Which one do you think it is? It's either 0.6, 0.7, or 0.8. The ones that Susie and Emma just typed in. It's one of those answers is correct as far as this Opal model 650. One of those answers is correct. So what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? I forgot to ring the bell. I forgot to ring the bell. Goodness gravy. We're slipping and sliding away. You have a holiday weekend with Easter, and now I'm just trying to get back into the groove of things. So Emma threw out the guess onto the three options that Susie and Emma posted in the live chat: 0.6, 0.7, or 0.8. Emma put 0.7. Al Koss put 0.6. And it's neither one of those. It is not 0.6. It is not 0.7. So that only leaves us with one option. And if someone wants to type it into the live chat so that everyone for all eternity knows what size motor this Opal 650 has in it, that way we'll know for sure. We'll know for sure. So go ahead and type that in the live chat. It is, in fact, a 0.8 amp motor. But here's the cautionary thing, and I've said this before. Boy, these are filthy. I've said it before that the Chinese rated motors, the motors that are made in China, can be a little bit overrated sometimes. They can be a little bit overrated. So whereas an American manufacturer of a motor, giving it a rating of, say, like a lot of the motors made by Singer, 0.54, 0.6, 0.5, there's a lot of science and measuring that goes into assigning that amperage rating for US made motors. Over in China and Thailand and the Philippines and India and other places like that where a lot of sewing machines are being made now, they're a little bit more arbitrary in assigning an amperage rating on a motor. And I say that because I've done some strength tests on motors that are rated at a certain level, even the ones that are coming out of China that are rated at 1.5 amps. And I've told you this before in live streams, there's no way that they're putting out that much power. There's just no way. They're putting out probably about, on a good day, 45 to 50% of the power that they're rated at. So all I'm going to say is that this is rated at 0.8 amps, as Emma typed into the live chat. And Al did as well, 0.8. But I don't know that I would agree that it's going to put out quite that much power. But for the purposes of what Sherry's using it for, and the owner of this machine is Sherry Berman. Sherry Berman is our owner, and again was referred by Joanne's to the workshop. For her purposes, it does every single thing that she wants it to do, and that's the most important measurement of the value, the quality, the purposefulness of a machine. Is if it's meeting your needs, if it's serving you, if it's meeting your project goals, if it has enough power for what you want it to do, then it's the perfect machine for you. And what I'll say is that this is the perfect machine for Sherry. She could be offered practically any other machine that Husqvarna either made or has made, and she would just politely turn it down. She loves everything about this machine. And again, she could be my teacher on all the features and functions of this machine, having had it now for over 10 years. I'm only going to give you a real high level overview of this machine today. If Sherry were doing this live stream, she could show us a lot more fun things about this machine, but I will do my best to try to present it, and we'll sew with it. You'll have a chance to listen to it, and you'll have a chance to gain a new appreciation for a machine that most assuredly is not considered a vintage sewing machine. It's not a vintage sewing machine. So we have a machine again, rated 0.8 amps. Some of the other things I'll show you, and I'll just kind of show you. I love turning on computerized machines because they do a little dance when you turn them on. I'm going to point the camera right over here, and I'll flip the on switch and listen to all that this machine does, and the little dance down by the throat plate area. I'm entertained so easily. I got to do it again. Hold on. All right, wait for it. You know, our vintage machines don't do that. I guess we could do it manually somehow, but our vintage machines don't do a little dance when we turn them on, do they? So that's always fun on machines like this. So what did I do to this machine, and why did Sherry bring it to the workshop? These machines that are being made in China now have a metal needle bar. That's what this is. They have a metal needle bar, but it's got a special cutout, and it's got a special configuration down here on the end where that needle clamp is supposed to attach in order to hold that needle in place. And unfortunately, what they did, the original Husqvarnas, everything was metal. The needle bar, the needle clamp, and everything else was metal. They went to this version right here. This is the one that was on her machine. Maybe I'll set it down. You'll be able to see it more easily. They went to this one right here that was on Sherry's machine. And it's a combination of plastic and aluminum. Inside of here right there, you can see is where the needle screw would go in to hold the needle. And it's a sleeve made out of a real soft aluminum. So as that sewist is taking needles in and out all the time, putting fresh needles in, unscrewing, screwing it back in, unscrewing, screwing it back in, etc., that aluminum, that little sleeve inside of there that the screw goes into, starts to become weaker and softened, and starts to become damaged. And eventually what happens, and this is widespread with these particular models, where they went away from a metal type clamp and they went, instead of steel on the inside, they went to aluminum on the inside. This is a pervasive issue with these models, where these are having to be replaced regularly. That's not all of it. There's a couple other parts here. There's another one there, and a little set screw that screws into the back of the needle bar. This is a guide for the needle as you slide it in. So you can kind of see all the, these are all the original parts that would have come with this model 650. And yeah, it works for a long time. It lasted Sherry for over 10 years. But the design is flawed, because when you have a screw that you're screwing in, pulling out, threaded, blah, 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 in and out all the time, it eventually, with a soft material like aluminum, it eventually causes it to break down. So these are, the fancy term, planned obsolescence. Planned obsolescence is really what they did when they designed this needle clamp, and they put it on this model 650. And I believe they put it on the other 600 series machines as well. And it's just designed to fail. Now, the only problem with something like this is, or I should say the easy solution, let me say it that way. The easy solution is, if a clamp like this fails, can't you just get another clamp? Can't you just grab another clamp and put another clamp on the needle bar, and you're back in business, right? It's simple, but it's not that simple on this model. And it's not that simple on the other 600 series models either that came out at the same time. The 670, the 690Q, the 670, and the 690Q came out right after this model 650. They almost immediately discontinued the production of these needle clamps after they rolled out this 600 series by Husqvarna Viking. They almost immediately discontinued them. A few dealerships had a little bit of a supply of these because they saw the writing on the wall that they were going to be an issue because of the materials that they made them out of. But they quickly ran out because the problem was pervasive. It was like it should have been like a major recall, but it never was. You know, kind of like a car flaw, and they put it on major recall, and then all of a sudden all the cars are going in to get repaired. But that doesn't happen, if ever, with sewing machines. If they built a part that is predestined to fail, it fails. And then you're kind of stuck with trying to find a workaround. So there's no needle clamps out here like this unless you buy a donor machine. And most of my customers, if I say, oh yeah, I can get you the same needle clamp that failed, but it's going to fail again because the inside that you screw into right there, the silver stuff, is a real soft aluminum, and it's going to fail again unless you never change the needle, then you're fine. If you never ever change the needle, you're going to be great. But if we replace it with the same one, you're going to have the same problem, and it may not last 10 years because it's already going to be a used clamp. There's no aftermarket remakes of this specific clamp any longer. They're not out there. What you have to buy now, and Emma had helped me do some research on this, what you have to buy now is you have to buy a kit. You have to buy a kit that includes a totally different needle bar and a totally different clamping system for the needle. So it's not an easy thing because then what you have to do is you have to open the machine up. You have to pull the machine apart. You have to carefully work that old needle clamp or needle bar, excuse me. You have to work that needle bar out of the machine. Then you have to retime the machine again, because once you take the needle bar out to put the new needle bar in, that will accommodate the aftermarket style clamp. You've now changed the timing of the machine as far as the needle bar timing with the hook system. So what should be a real simple thing, let's go and get a new needle clamp. Let's put a new needle clamp on Sherry's machine and we're done. Hey, wow, that was easy. But they don't make it easy because, well, I've already explained it. There's no replacement needle clamps that will go right on this needle bar for this model 650. So what you can do is you can either buy one of these kits with this new needle clamp design, but a lot of those remakes on the needle clamps aren't much better than the original one that was on the machine. They're also made out of softer alloys, and they're not designed to last for the life of the machine. So the workaround is the needle bar starts like this in the machine. It starts like this in the machine. Down here is where on the bottom here is where the needle clamp would go. And this is what goes up and down in the sewing process. The best workaround for this problem on these 600 Husqvarna machines that are about 12 to 13 years old is to use the original needle bar because it's going to work the best with the machine. But what you have to do is you have to take it and you have to flip it upside down so that you can use an upgraded metal style needle clamp on the bottom and it will fit the needle bar. But then on this end, this won't clear in the sewing process going up and down through the needle clamp guides. So you then have to cut this and grind this down so that this contour in here doesn't jam the machine up as the bar is going up and down. You basically have to grind this off. So my whole point of explaining this, and some of you may have already fallen asleep, but my whole point in explaining this, what initially you look at, and it should be a simple solution. Bad needle clamp. Let's put a new needle clamp on the machine. Is not an option on this 600 series by Husqvarna. You either buy a needle kit, or a needle bar type kit, and you use a different needle bar, which is not ideal. And then you use a needle clamp that's going to be just a little bit better than this one. And it's not going to last for the life of the machine. Or you use the original needle bar, you flip it upside down, you grind this end off, and you mount an upgraded needle clamp on this end of the needle bar so that it will never, ever, 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 ever fail again. Something else will break on the machine before the needle clamp and the needle bar will with this workaround option. So at any rate, that's what I did. That's what happened is the whole machine had to be opened up and ended up flipping that needle bar upside down, grinding it off, attaching a new upgraded needle clamp, and now Sherry's machine is happy again. So some solutions are easy, some are a lot more difficult, and it goes back to design. It goes back to as they go through different evolutions of the machine, and especially as you move production from Sweden to other places in the world, and there's different stakeholders in the game, and they're looking at how can we get the maximum profit from a sewing machine. They start making compromises like the materials used to make needle clamps and other parts on the machine that will then be predestined to fail. All right, enough blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. It was a major repair for what should have been, or we would assume could have been, a much easier solution. So, all right, that's enough of that. Let me get these parts back in the bag. All right, I'll look at the live chat real quick and see if there's any questions or comments or if I've utterly confused anyone. So a quick little walk around. This machine. And again, I'm confessing to all of you, we are family. We are family, and family can be honest with each other. Sherry could do a lot better job of walking you through this machine than I can, because I didn't spend a lot of time studying the features and the functions of it, but I'll do my best to kind of walk you around and show you some of this stuff anyway. So it obviously has a lot of cool stuff like a drop-in bobbin here. And by the way, the beauty of this drop-in bobbin on this model 650 is we talk a lot about orientating a bobbin correctly. You know, do you have it so it's turning clockwise? Do you have it turning counterclockwise? Or how do you orientate the bobbin? With this one, you can't get it wrong. You can't get this one wrong, because as long as you put the side that has the maker's stamp that you can kind of see there, it's got the maker's stamp, it's got the royal crown on the top of the bobbin, the plastic bobbin. As long as you have that facing up, you've got it facing the correct direction. If you try to put it the other way, it won't even go into the raceway. So they really made it kind of foolproof, so you can't put it in wrong per se. You just drop it in with that side up, and then you have to draw the thread in and up. And it's a little bit tricky how you thread this, but the book does a fairly good job of showing you how to do it. Basically, there's a little slat right here. You start, you draw it up, and then you have to draw it to the top of here, and then you have to draw it back this way into this little channel right here. And then you put the cover back on, and then you can pull the thread up. But it's kind of a up and around back through this track and then back over here. up and around and through that. I know I'm not doing a beautiful job of giving you a visual, but the book will help you if you're having trouble with it. It's not too difficult. Okay, I've got that back on. Right over here, right on the front of the machine, you've got feed dog drop. So when it's pushed all the way to the left, the feed dogs are fully engaged. If you want to do free motion quilting, you're going to push it all the way to the right. And then those feed dogs will go down and you'll be able to do free motion quilting or freehand embroidery. Nice little ruler here for measurements. And you can see, again, to try to reinforce the fact of quality. Right here on the front of here, they have designed and engineered in Sweden. So they're trying to, just like that other computerized machine we recently had in the workshop, they're trying to emphasize that, okay, it's made in China. It's made in China. But the design and the engineering was its inception is going back to Sweden. So again, I think that's important, but again, it's more marketing than it is anything, just to say to folks, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. But again, if you apply designs, if you apply engineering to the machine, it's certainly going to be a lot better than a lot of the machines that are out there right now. I don't even know if you can see that or not. Can you see that shot? You shut that light off. Oh, there it is. There, now you can see it. That's what I was describing to you, and I don't think you could see it because of the glare of the LED lights. But designed and engineered in Sweden. And I'm not trying to knock this machine. I'm just saying that, sewing machine manufacturers, Singer does the same thing, Brother does the same thing, Juki does the same thing. All the different makers of the sewing machines want to tell folks that nothing has changed, when in fact we know that it has. Because when you move production, when you go through several decades and the focus goes from quality of engineering to profitability, there's got to be certain concessions on any sewing machine, right? On any sewing machine. All right. Had to do it one more time. Okay. So over to this side of the machine now. And I'll do my best to walk you through some of this. So on this control board right here, on this model 650, it's going to be interactive by pushing buttons. You're going to be pushing buttons to get different responses or settings from the machine. So if you want to change, let's see here. If you want to change stitch width, you're going to be over here next to this Alt, negative, positive to change stitch width. If you're wanting to adjust stitch length, you're going to be making adjustments on the negative and the positive over here. The difference again is when they moved into the models later with the model 670 and the 690Q, whereas now you've got to use these buttons, they added a touch screen to the later models, the model 670 and the 690Q. So there you would have a stylus that's kind of tucked away on the side, and you would touch the screen like this on these later models, not on this one, but the later ones, which, for some people, that's a step up. That's something that they would enjoy being able to do. So again, easy button access, different choices here as you push these to choose different stitch outputs for the machine as well. You can also make combinations of stitches by entering stitch numbers over here and create little strings of stitches in different styles. Let's see what else. Quick access buttons right here, where you can tell the machine what kind of material you're going to be sewing. Right now, by default, it automatically goes to woven light. Kind of see that in the shot. As I push these different buttons, let's see here. Oh, that's the first one anyway. There we go. If I push this like B, I just push B right here. Now we've gone from woven light to woven medium, woven heavy, stretch light, stretch medium, stretch heavy, leather vinyl. And again, this is going to give the machine certain insights in how to work the feed dogs, and a number of other adjustments that it'll make automatically depending on the type of material that you're going to be sewing with. So I think this quick little access panel right here is a cool feature on this model 650 because it gives you the option to right away tell the machine, as you know, like with our sewing Olympics, if we were going to do it on this live stream, we're changing between material types. We can easily select and tell the machine exactly what we have underneath the presser foot. And then the machine makes certain adjustments to try to accommodate and to feed that material more predictably, so that the machine has better stitch quality. And again, I haven't had an opportunity to test this extensively. So I don't know, if it's really, really effective. Sherry could probably tell us if she uses this feature or doesn't pay attention to it at all. It really is certain machine features. People go to them each and every time. Other ones, they might not use them at all. So, all right, back to light woven. What else? Oh yeah, let's go over here. So over on this side, we got a huge dial. Anyone want to guess what this dial is for right here? You can see right now it's set on default of 5. What do you think? What is that dial for? Shut the LED light off. Anyone want to guess what this dial is for? Yeah, Susie's absolutely correct. Susie is absolutely. Oh, hello to Madeline as well. I didn't see Madeline pop in. And Madeline just typed something and said, "Nope, I don't want to say that. I'm going to retract it." So yeah, right on the faceplate area, Susie is absolutely correct. This is presser foot pressure. So we know the importance of presser foot pressure. We've seen it have a number of impacts as we do sew offs during live streams, etc. And as we bump this up or down, it's going to determine what type of material we're sewing. So if we're sewing heavier or multiple layers, we're going to go up higher than 5. 5 is kind of the middle point, kind of the default. And we could go all the way up to, I believe it's 9 on here. I didn't actually rotate it. I'd have to see. But at any rate, let's see here. Yep, all the way up to 9. So we'll try it on 5 and see how the machine does. What about this dial over here? What is this dial about? What do we think that dial is for? Well, I'll just tell you because it's one of the things I know about this machine, so I'm kind of excited about that. This is upper tension. So if we're having a loose lock stitch, we'll obviously bump this up. If we're getting a underserved top stitch, we'll bump this back down. And again, the middle point on here is going to be 5. Again, you can go all the way up to 9 on this as far as upper tension as well. Like that recent computerized machine that we had in the workshop, you can see here we've got that option where you can start and stop by pushing this button. So you don't have to rely on a foot controller. Let's say someone has a disability, or they don't want to deal with a foot controller, or maybe like our other customer, maybe the dog chews up the foot controller. And so you've got this as an option of pushing it to start the machine. And then as you near that stitch line end, you push it again to stop it. Got needle position up and down. We've got speed. We can slow the machine down or we can speed it up depending on what we're wanting to do as far as sewing. And of course, bobbin winding as well up here. Auxiliary spool that you can use for winding a bobbin. You can also wind this, you can also wind a bobbin while the machine is threaded, which is kind of nice. And this right here was adjusted way down. This is our fill setter here. It determines how full that bobbin is going to be when you put it on here. It was adjusted way, way down. And so I adjusted it out a little bit. And you can do the same thing on any of our vintage machines. They're generally going to have a fill stop point where when it reaches that point, it's going to stop filling the bobbin. We've seen that on some of the Japanese machines where you can bypass it by holding that mechanism in, and then it continues to fill it so it's more full. But this one had to be adjusted out quite a bit in order to accommodate the bobbin, not being like a quarter full. I think I ended up filling it almost 3/4 full. What else? I think that's about it. Threading the machine on this is a little bit tricky based on how the manual presents it. Come off here, and again, you're going to have the thread coming over the top of the spool, kind of like you can see it there. Let me shut this light off, see if that helps. That might help a little bit. Thread comes over the top of the spool, and again with these spool retainers, make sure that it is larger than the end of the spool of thread itself. Different spools of threads, there's different options when it comes to spools that you could put on here. You could put something like this, a Gutermann narrow type thread, and then you could adjust with a different spool retainer, a smaller one. But if you put a spool of thread on here and the retainer is too small, you're going to end up getting the thread snagged on there and having the thread break on you. So just be aware of that. You'll receive multiple sizes when you buy a machine like this, and always choose the appropriate one for the type of thread that you're using, the type of spool design. So you come over here, you come over the top of here, right around the edge. Come right around the top of here. I'll wait for the camera to adjust. Top of here, you kind of come down this track, and you come back around the bottom here and back up this track over here. We then come down this first track right here, and this is the most essential one right here because this is going to be where our tension discs are located. And you'll really want to make sure that that thread gets seated in there properly. Press your foot in the up position so that you don't have pressure on these discs. You can draw that thread in there nice and deep. Draw it down this track right here, down around the bottom, and then you'll have your balance wheel in a position where you can bring the thread over through the take-up arm, back down the same track, and then right here, you can see there's a thread guide just above the needle. That's the only one that's there, along with our new needle clamp, which is going to be all metal, and it should last for the life of the machine. Now, this would have been a much better choice for Husqvarna when this machine was made in China, but again, it would have raised the cost of the production, probably not dramatically, probably a couple dollars, but I guess a couple dollars towards millions of machines, it can add up, right? Also, we already looked at this. There's only one way to put the bobbin in, so you just drop it in there with that Husqvarna emblem facing up, and then draw the thread up and down. And then this plate cover comes off so you can clean out the extra dust and dirt and lint and everything else that gets built up in there. Auto needle threader as well. See that right there, which is something I never use. Never use an auto needle threader, but some people use it every single time they're using the machine. So it can be real practical and helpful to a lot of folks. That's about a walk around the machine, other than it's got a nice little handle built in as well. So if you're moving the machine around, you don't have to cradle it. You can grab the handle and you can move it safely to wherever you're wanting to go with the machine. Yeah, the Opal 650. There she is. So let's actually try sewing with the Opal 650, okay? And again, we're not going to be doing a wide field of sew-offs today. We're going to be keeping it real basic. Real basic. Let's see what I can get as far as an angle here. Maybe I'll move this back just a little bit further. Oh, and I didn't show you, but I was talking about the filling the bobbin and adjusting that little preset stopper that disengages the bobbin function when you're winding it. This is the type of tool you'll need on this machine in order to loosen that torque type screw and then adjust it out a little bit so you can get your bobbins more full. So something along these lines, and I don't remember exactly what size it was. I think it was this one right here. Yeah, this is the one. This is going to be the size right here that you need for this machine. I should have mentioned that when we were looking at it, but I didn't. Okay. Where is my material? So the needle, let me talk about setup a little bit. Basic Coates & Clark thread on the machine right now. This is the customer's thread. It's an all-purpose universal type thread. I'm actually looking at it so I can make sure it was made in Charlotte, North Carolina. Not made in Mexico like a lot of the threads are now. You didn't know that, check your thread when you buy it. A lot of the threads now are being made elsewhere. And, it can affect the quality of the thread to some degree. So just be aware of that as well. So the setup on the machine is a Schmetz, no surprise, a Schmetz 9014 needle. It's kind of my go-to needle. Okay, lower that presser foot now. And this machine, by design, when you initially push on the foot controller, it's going to go in a fixed position with needle swing, either vertically or horizontally, for a few steps. So at the beginning of that stitch line, you're going to have some overlay of thread, and then it begins to advance forward. That was a safeguard that a lot of manufacturers added to computerized machines, so that if somehow the needle is bent, it's out of alignment, or in some other way is not aligned properly, that when you activate the machine, it's going to launch slowly so that it's less likely to cause damage to the hook or less likely to scar the throat plate by not hitting with as much force as it does once it's actually in locomotion. So if you get a computerized machine and it kind of does a little pause almost as you're initiating movement to the machine, that's okay. I recognize that number. That is one of those solicitation numbers. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with the machine when it does that. It does that by design. Okay. Let me turn the light back on. And by default, when you are sewing a straight stitch with this machine, by default, it's going to go, I'll kind of shut it off and show you because I made a couple of changes. By default, it's generally going to start right around a 2.0 as far as the stitch length. I think I actually said these backwards before. Length is going to be on the left, width is going to be on the right. I'd have to review the live stream to see if I think I said it backwards. So these controls right here, the negative, the positive, are to adjust the stitch length. The negative, the positive on this side is to adjust the stitch width. It's generally going to start out with a default on most of these computerized machines of 2.0, between 2.0 or 2.5 as far as stitch length. That's because that's what most quilters are going to want as far as the stitch length. I like to have a longer stitch length, so I'm going to bump it up a little bit to, I don't know what our top is, 3.5, 4, 5. How high can we go with this? So it looks like our max on stitch length is going to be 6.0. So we'll go to right around 5 on this, and we'll see what kind of stitch we get. And again, I could start the machine with this start stop function right here, like I did on that other machine that I didn't have the foot controller for. But here we've got a foot controller, so I'm going to go ahead and use the foot controller. And if you're curious to see the foot controller on this, I'll just show it to you real quick. It's nice and broad, so it's got plenty of room, whether you have big feet or little feet. Nice little storage compartment here where you can wind up the cord and you can stick the cord back inside. The only thing that's a little bit confusing to me as I look at the plate on the back of here is for amp rating on this, it has 0,002. That doesn't quite make sense to me, but it's obviously the correct foot controller for this machine. 0.002. Normally it's going to say with a motor size like this of 0.8, it's going to say 0.8 or it's going to say 1.0. So I don't know why the manufacturer has it listed like this. To me, it's confusing as to what the amperage tolerance of this foot controller is. But it was designed for the machine, so it should be appropriate and fine as far as getting the response we need from the machine, et cetera, et cetera. All right. So let's stitch down and try a straight stitch on this. And again, you're going to see it. You're not going to see it go in the locomotion right away. It kind of pauses for a second almost as it's beginning to move the needle bar. All right, here we go. I don't know if you saw that. It kind of like did a little, almost like it was spinning its wheels a little bit, didn't it? Almost like it was spinning its wheels. And that's manufacturer's design. I don't know if, I don't know why. I know why they do it, but I find it kind of annoying. So if we hit the gas, we want to go. We don't want to be like, oh, we're stuck on ice. We're stuck on ice. Yeah, that's a beautiful stitch. Beautiful stitch. And you can see we're not even at the max. That's our 5.0 as far as the stitch length. See if I shut that LED light off, it's a little bit better. There we go. So a beautiful top stitch, definitely from our rating system, definitely a page 34, if not a page 34 plus. Very, very nice. So what we can do is we can step it down now. We'll do a couple more stitch rows with a straight stitch. And then I'll see if I can get some of the other stitches pulled up as far as an option. And we'll give those a go as well. Oh, wait a second. Like I said, we had that Easter break, and now I'm kind of getting back into the rhythm of things. I showed you the top stitch. I did not show you the lock stitch. Like I said, I'm getting back into the rhythm of things now. Kind of still on vacation mode, I think. Although I was working during the Easter break too, so I really wasn't on vacation. Things having a little bit of trouble focusing. Let me shut off that LED light again. There we go. So this again is our lock stitch. It's our lock stitch. That's a huge stitch. It really is. You compare it to some of the other machines that we've seen that I presented on this channel. It really is a beautiful, large stitch. And we're not even at the maximum. We're on 5, and we could go all the way to 6. So now we'll bump it down a little bit. We'll kind of bring that size down a little bit. We started right around 5. You can see right there. We started at a 5.0. Go down to about a 4 now. So we're at 4.0 now as far as the stitch length. There it is. See what a 4.0 looks like as far as stitch length. So we started at 5.0, we went to 4.0, now we'll do a 3.0, and then I'll show all of these to you at the same time. Adjust it down to 3 now. Yeah, I think with the LED light off, it's a little bit clearer. We'll stick for that for now. Okay, so now we're at 3.0 as far as stitch length. See what we think of this. And you guys are smart. You guys and gals are smart. So now we're going to do, after this, we'll do a 2.0. 2.0 sounds like a computer program almost. 2.0 version. And I don't know what you can hear on the camera, but sitting right here next to the machine, it is surprisingly quiet. Surprisingly quiet machine. Very, very quiet. Probably one of the reasons that Sherry likes it so much is it's just a nice machine to operate. You could literally be in the same room with somebody watching TV and you wouldn't bug them, you know, with the machine running. It wouldn't be loud and clanky. So now we'll go down to a 2.0. See what that looks like. And we'll do our final sew off of a 1.0 so we can see how tiny this machine can sew as far as stitch length. And again, if you're joining us late a little bit, the thread that we're sewing with is a Coates & Clark general type thread. It's not the XP stuff that I use quite often. This is the thread that the customer had on the machine. Sherry had on the machine. You know, kind of just a general thread that was made out in North Carolina. Okay, so now let's go to what should be the shortest stitch as far as stitch length. Right now you can see we're at 2.0. Now we'll go down to 1. Can we go below 1, I wonder? Let's see. Yeah, we can. We can go all the way down to 0.5. 0.5, just like the original Husqvarna machines. I've shown that to you before. when it comes to stitch length adjustments on the green machines that are vintage, we also have the option to go all the way down to a 0.5. I don't think we'll go quite that tiny. I think 1.0 is going to be short enough to give this machine a chance to show how teeny tiny it can sew as well. All right, so let's do this final sew off with a straight stitch, and we'll see what we think of this one. Oh, yeah. Imagine if we went to 0.5. 0.5 would be like, get out the microscope, get out the magnify glass. Very, very tiny stitching. So let's look at all of these now. And I know that I'm only showing the basics right now. We'll jump into some of the other more complex stitches. But you always start with the basics. Let's see how the machine does. And then we can move into something a little bit more complex. So from left to right, we started out on 5, we went to 4, we went to 3, we went to 2, we went to 1, and you can get a look at those stitches. They really are lovely stitches on this Opal Model 650. Very, very nice looking stitching. We turn it over, lock stitch. So even a more contemporary machine, this again is going to be about a 10 to 12-year-old machine, can still lay down page 34 stitching. That again is our lock stitch. So let's see if we can delve a little bit deeper into this machine. Again, I'm not going to be giving you a huge overview of this machine because I'm not as familiar with it as I would be some of our vintage machines, but I'm going to do my best. I'll do my best to show you some of the cool features that this machine might be able to deliver. And one of the things it can do, and I did not test this, I'll tell you what, I'll start more basic. I'll go to some of the utility stitches first. I'll go to some of the utility stitches first, and then we'll focus to see whether or not I can figure out the monogramming stuff, because this does give you the ability to do monogramming as well. So our main screen again, to go between different stitches, you can hit these different buttons over here, these two, to scroll between different stitch outputs. This looks like it's probably going to be a 3-point zigzag, which I love the 3-point zigzag. So I think we'll give that a go, but we'll kind of scroll through and look at some of the other ones as well. I don't know what that kind of stitch is. It's kind of a zigzag, but it's not. It's got almost like a little tower thing going on there. Another type of 3-point zigzag, it looks like. That's going to be kind of like a combing stitch or something like that, whatever we would call that. That's an interesting one right there. That's very complex, isn't it? It almost looks like an inverted blind hem stitch, doesn't it? Another style there. No idea what that is. Now I think we're maybe moving into some buttonhole functions. Yep, it looks like a buttonhole function now. And you can hear the needle moving as we're changing patterns. So that right away tells you always make sure your needle is clear of the material, right? As you're going through to select potentially different patterns to sew. Boy, is that interesting. I don't know what that is. Wow. Jiminy crickets. Holy mackerel. .24 by 7. That would be huge, wouldn't it? The stitch length that they have for this default pattern is 24.5 by 7. Wow. All right, I'm going to stop right there because I'm getting dizzy. I'm getting dizzy trying to look at all of these patterns. I don't know about you, but why don't we see if we can stitch this one? Let's see if we can stitch this one. I've got a universal foot on, and we'll see if we can lay down this particular pattern. And I don't know if you have a name for this pattern or what you might call it. It almost looks like it might be a heart monitor, doesn't it? Kind of like a EKG. Is that what they call them? EKGs, right? See if we can stitch this EKG pattern. And again, you can see the default that the programmers gave this stitch is a 6.0, which is the maximum stitch length, and then a 5.0, which is nearly a maximum stitch width. So it's giving us the option. It says fix. We can make it shorter. We can make it more narrow. What do y'all think? Should we go with the default, or should we make it a little bit shorter and a little bit more narrow as far as stitch width? Right now we've got 6.0 and 5.0. We could go to 5.0 and 4.0 or something like that. What do y'all think? Leave it fixed. Okay, let's leave it fixed then. Emma's like, the programmers probably know more than you do about this machine, and the answer to that would be absolutely yes. I could teach those programmers a thing or two about vintage machines, but I'm going to lean on them as far as knowing better what will work better with this particular stitch pattern. That's for sure. All right, let's give this a go. See what we think. I wish I could get more of an angle where you could see. There we go. There you can see it a little bit better. Yeah, and I think Emma was very wise in saying, Scott, don't fiddle with it. Leave it alone, buddy. Leave it alone. Let's take a look at this one. And I guess we all agreed, or at least Emma agreed, that we should probably call it an EKG stitch, huh? Let's take a look at the EKG stitch. This is going to be our top stitch that we're looking at first. Turn it like this as well. Maybe we can see it that way too. Yeah, I like it. It's kind of a cool looking stitch, isn't it? The camera's going, nah, I don't want to focus on that right now. I'm bored. I don't want to focus on that. Let's turn over and look at the lock stitch now. Anything dramatic? No. It's just a beautiful stitch. So some beautiful stitching there. Let's see if we can pick out a couple more fun stitches to try. And again, I don't know much about the monogramming function of this machine, but we could probably set something up and see whether or not we can stitch something off with that too. Let's go back over here again. Let the camera kind of focus on that for a second. Let's see here. Oh, I think I went the wrong way. It's an interesting one. We'll call that the V stitch for lack of a better description. That looks very complex, doesn't it? That's kind of intimidating a little bit almost, isn't it? You can try this one too. That'll be a fun one, I think, to sew. Let's give that one a go. Okay, this next stitch, and I have no idea what we can call it, but we'll call it something. So here we go. And by the way, if you're looking at this thread color, if you're looking at the thread color and going, it doesn't look like it's white. It looks like it's off a little bit. That's because it's pink thread. I didn't specifically say that, but the customer had pink thread on the machine. You may have been able to see that when we looked up top, right over here. So if it looks like it's a little bit off in color, that's because it is. All right, let's back the camera up as far as I can without it falling off. All right, let's give this next stitch a try, see what we think. Here we go. And you notice the feed dogs pulling the material back and forth. Does anyone remember what that function is called? And it was really perfected by the Husqvarna Viking sewing machine company and is even a part of the machines from the 1950s. Does anyone remember what that function of the machine is called, where it doesn't just use needle swing, it also uses a rapid locomotion change, kind of like popping it in reverse and forward and 2 steps back and 3 steps forward. Does anyone remember what that function is called that allows it to generate a pattern like this by manipulating the feed dogs coupled with needle swing at the same time? So Emma's calling that a finishing stitch, but I was looking for the function name of what the machine is doing mechanically, or in this case, it's a combination of mechanical and computer generated manipulation of the feed dogs. The feed dogs basically fluxing forward, say 2 steps, going back 3, going 1 forward, going back 3. They're changing direction very rapidly. That's why you see the material kind of doing a little dance. It's not just feeding forward or backwards. It's going forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, back, forward, 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 back, 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 back. It's almost like a dance, isn't it? Does anyone remember what that's called? So it's called, make a mental note, because it'll probably come up on a future midterm exam, and you can get extra points if you know. It's called tri-motion. And it's called tri-motion because the feed dogs are not just being moved forward or back, like if we were changing the direction feed of the machine, where all of a sudden we're feeding it backwards and then we switch it. Now we're going forward. It's called tri-motion instead of bimotion because it's going in increments to manipulate in conjunction with the needle swing. So tri-motion, because those feed dogs might be going 2 steps back and then 3 rapid forward and then 1 back and then 3 forward or 2 back, just a variety of different fluxes of those feed dogs in conjunction with the needle swing to get the result like this. What would you all call this, a finishing stitch? Like Emma, or do you have a different name for it? You can have a different name. It's okay. Beautiful top stitching. Let's turn it over and see how we did on the lock stitch. Also a beautiful lock stitch as well. So our tension balance right now is very, very happy. Our tension balance is very, very happy right now. Yeah, when I look at this last stitch that we just did, it almost kind of looks like a catacomb or something, doesn't it? Kind of like it could be part of a beehive or something. If we check this area right here, we would find Winnie the Pooh, and he would be going after the honey. He'd be going after the honey, I'm guessing. So some lovely stitching by this Opal Model 650 so far. We'll see if we can check out a couple of the other ones as well. What else do we have over here? Let's see. That's interesting. It almost looks kind of a mountain stitch or something, doesn't it? That's a weird one, isn't it? And I'm kind of watching over here as far as the presser foot attachment. If it changes from A, then we'll probably skip it because I don't want to have to change out the presser foot attachment during the live stream. So there's a mountain one that we have right there. No idea what that is. Interesting. That's a fun one. Maybe there's another one that has all O's across it, kind of like tic-tac-toe. We've seen that stitch before. It's kind of a combing stitch or something like that. Interesting. No idea. It's like a basic straight. Kind of, it's not a 3-point zigzag. It's a different style one there. That's kind of fun. That one's interesting. I like the little peak on there, don't you? But it looks like it's requiring a different presser foot attachment for that one. So we'll stick with the A presser foot for right now. It's going to require a different presser foot. What is that one? That looks really interesting, doesn't it? 2.5 on stitch length, 1.0. It's going to be really, really teeny tiny, isn't it? Oops, I went the wrong way again. Requires a different presser foot. Well, I'll try doing this one. This is really interesting. It actually, when you're dealing with some of these stitches, the normal stitch length boundary is going to be right around 6, I think we said. But on some of these, it allows you to go outside of the boundaries. This one is going to be 8.3 on stitch length and 5.0 on stitch width. Let's try this one. That's going to use the same presser foot that we have on there right now. Let's see what we think of this one. And I think I haven't adjusted the speed at all on this. I've been metering the speed out with my foot controller. I'm going to bump this down a little bit. You can see right over here as I change it, this little column right over here. Right now I'm on 2, if you see that. If I bump the speed up, watch it go up. Now we're up to 3. And 4, I think it's, 5 is our max. So that's our max speed right now. I'm going to bump it down to right around 3, I think. Yeah. All right, let's give this stitch a try. See what we think of this one. Again, tri-motion is being used. Watch what it does as far as manipulating the material. Oh yeah, we've seen this stitch many, many, many times. I think the term is something like a combing stitch, if I'm not mistaken. Well, you might call it something else. I think a couple have called it a bird foot stitch. So there certainly is different options as far as what you want to call it. Yeah, this is our top stitch. Had to get that orientated for a second there. Without that tri-motion, it would be impossible to generate a stitch like this, because you can see some of the stitches are laid down horizontally at the same time without connecting thread. So it's a product of that, those feed dogs being able to move it with the needle swing at the same time. It's almost like a horizontal straight stitch. What about our lock stitch? Let's take a look at that now. Here's our lock stitch, that row over there we just did. Beautiful balance, beautiful stitch definition. Beautiful stitch definition. Well, again, my knowledge, I say it all the time, sometimes a teacher, sometimes a student. So I've been able to teach you some things about this Opal Model 650. Again, it would have come out about 12 to 13 years ago originally. I believe that Sherry told me that she's had this machine going on 11 years, right around in that time frame. So it was kind of in the craze phase of computerized machine being developed, wasn't it? 12 to 15 years ago was kind of the window. Let's see what else we can see now. And again, I'm going to try to stick with feet that are A's on here, just so I don't have to flop out the, that's a J foot, A foot. I don't think we've done that one yet, have we? We haven't done that one yet. Let's do this one. It's kind of like, it's not even a 3-point zigzag. It's like a multi-point zigzag. It looks like it's hitting those points multiple times. And you can see right now, the computer is recommending a stitch length of 4.0 and a stitch width of 3.0. Let's see what this one looks like. See what this one looks like. All right, here we go. See, I'm just seeing a single strike. I'm seeing like it looks different on the image, but let's see what the final product looks like. It doesn't look like it's hitting it multiple times, but maybe the result will be different. Let's see what we get. Yeah, it just looks like a small zigzag. It looks like a small zigzag. It doesn't look, the image, maybe it's just the way it's on the screen, but the image makes it look a little bit more interesting. See, before I show you, this is the image that we were looking at right there, that row right there. But it's just a basic zigzag. That's what I'm seeing anyway. Cut this thread and we'll take a close look at it. And there's nothing wrong with a basic zigzag. I'm just saying it doesn't look quite like what I was expecting in the image. So trying to cut off some of my extra threads on the end. I should probably use my Guggenheim scissors. Oh, and I need to set the record straight on something with the Guggenheim scissors. There we go. Kind of got that cleaned up a little bit. So what I was going to say, as far as the Guttenheim scissors, those of you that may have seen the other live stream, you saw me introduce these scissors, and based on the name of Guttenheim, I told you that I thought that they were probably European based, specifically Germany. Well, kind of like this machine, that on the front of it, it says designed and engineered in Sweden. This model 650 says designed and engineered in Sweden. These scissors were designed and engineered with standards that would be consistent with German engineering. But in fact, they came from the same place as this sewing machine. They were actually assembled and manufactured in China. And I learned that during the visit of a customer. They said, do you mind if I try those scissors out that you showed on that live stream? They really look impressive. And so I gave them a couple different materials to cut with these, and they cut through them. And this one customer in particular really wanted to see how they did around edges, as you're curving in and you're kind of cutting it like that. And she goes, oh my gosh, these are amazing. And then she looked at the box and she said, Scott, these aren't made over in Europe. They're made in China. And I looked at the box and I put my reading glasses on and I said, you're absolutely right. They are. But it goes to show you, because the feedback on these scissors right now, these Guttenheim scissors, is off the charts. People are just loving them. A lot of great positive feedback on these scissors, but they're made in China. So it goes to show you that everyone talks about cheap stuff coming out of China. Sometimes they nail it and they apply a design, they apply a certain engineering pattern to making a product, and the product leaving China is world class. That's where I would put these scissors. And based on the little bit I've seen of this model 650 Opal machine that belongs to Sherry, I would say it's also in an upper class as far as the quality of the machine and how it stitches. And that's not just my opinion. You've already seen it stitch multiple stitches. We'll take a look on this last stitch that we just did. Again, I thought based on the picture, it would be a little bit more impressive, but it's just a basic zigzag, just like a little baby zigzag. But it's a beautiful zigzag. And the formation, the stitch presentation, the stitch spacing, everything about the stitch is just absolutely spot on. Very good looking zigzag. So that's our top stitch. We'll flip it around. This is our lock stitch now. And you know what? It looks just as good, doesn't it? It looks just as good as we're sewing on this 100% cotton with this stiffener. Beautiful, beautiful stitch. Beautiful stitch. So good things can come out of China. It's not always a negative. It's also an opportunity sometimes to be surprised when you give Chinese manufacturers very specific standards to follow, and you give them a specific design that they need to use and apply to build a certain product. You can get surprised a little bit by what the Chinese do. And we do people that follow this channel on China too, so I'm supposing that they're probably glad to hear that. So these are some of the buttons that I'm less familiar with over here. I've kind of muddled through this a little bit, giving us some stitch output on this model 650. I'm going to delve into uncharted territory a little bit and kind of check out some of these embroidery type, monogram type stitches and just see if we can figure anything out with that. So I just hit that one right there. It's a block style letter. I'm going to hit OK, see what options it gives us. I guess we can actually write something. Interesting. See if I can figure this out. Nope, no promises that I'll figure this out. Let's see. Oops. S. Oops. You get to see me being a student today, big time with this machine. Sherry would probably be laughing right about now. Sherry would definitely be laughing, saying that poor Scott cannot figure it out. Oh, wrong way again. Oh my gosh. Oh man. SCO. I hope I can spell my name. Maybe I won't even have enough room to put it. I have no idea. Oh man, which way? Let's go that way. All right. Okay. SCOT and hit it again. Okay. I have no idea what's going to happen. Honestly, I have no idea what's going to happen. We just typed in Scott. I wonder if we can actually sew it now. It shows how much I know, right? I'm a student when it comes to this Opal model 650. If we pull this off, I'm going to be like patting myself on the back. And you can see it's going to be quite large. We've got a 9.0 as far as stitch length. We have a 7.0 as far as stitch width. This is going to be huge. It's going to be absolutely huge. And I'm hoping that we're set up for success. We'll give it a try. And the worst we can do is fail or at least stumble a little bit. So we'll see what happens, huh? Let's see what happens. Should probably read the book before I do this, but it looks like we're in pretty good shape. Let's try this. Let's try this. All right, give it a go here. And it might just sew a straight stitch and go, nah, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. See what happens. This should be interesting. You notice again, it's using tri-motion. It's using tri-motion to manipulate the material. All right, I'm going to stop right there because I think we completed the stitch cycle. And we did. Oh my goodness gravy. Again, I'm not incredibly familiar with this machine, but we were able to do a little brief embroidery pattern. Nothing crazy impressive, but it's impressive that the machine can do it. So I could put like Scott on my DeWalt jacket right here on the sleeves before I give it back to the customer, couldn't I? That would be kind of fun. All right, let's bring that to the rear. So this is what we just did. You know, I'm kind of impressed by this because as I was looking closely and watching what the needle was doing in conjunction with the tri-motion of the feed dogs, it's just really impressive that it was able to do this. And again, we're using a 9014 universal needle. Imagine if we were using, say, a 7511 embroidery needle using embroidery type thread. This would really be kind of spectacular, wouldn't it? turn it over, look at the lock stitch, which interestingly, as you're looking at this, it's backwards, but when you shoot in the camera, it's looks like it's facing the correct way, doesn't it? But it's the opposite. Kind of a mirror image. You see how it created those letters? It's pretty impressive. Those T's are the biggest challenge. If you look at those T's have very, very restrictive boundaries with a thread overlay to get that T shape. The S's are not as challenging. The C is not as challenging. The O is not as challenging, but the T's, if you look at them close, it's like, wow, that's impressive. Really impressive. Yeah. Now I'm almost inspired to try to do something else. All right, y'all give me a word. Y'all give me a word to spell or a name, the name of someone, a word or whatever. And I'm feeling rather confident right now. I'm feeling semi-confident, not incredibly confident. I'm feeling semi-confident with my knowledge, my vast, expansive knowledge of this Opal 650. And you give me a word. Someone, let's get a consensus of something that else I can enter, and we'll try entering it into this. Yeah, we'll try entering it into this machine and see what we get. Oh, y'all are getting a freezing up or something? Are y'all getting a freezing up? Is that what someone said? I'm not getting any issues on this end. Susie's getting some freezing up. How is the live stream right now as far as what you're seeing, what you're hearing? Are you able to see everything okay right now and hear everything okay? Are you able to are you all able to are you able to hear and see everything okay? Susie's having some issues over in Minnesota, maybe with her internet or something, but okay. So somebody give me a word. Give me something fun. Some sort of a word. Don't make it super long, but see if we can I have no idea how to get that back. Oh, I'm trying to erase Scott so we can start over with something else, and maybe I'll just have to shut this puppy off and on again. All right, we're starting over. We're on ground zero here. All right, enter. Any words at all? And I'm not going to do workshop magic. I think that'll be too long. Unless I do it in a separate row. I could do it in a separate row. Let me do that maybe. Let's see here. I should choose a different style of let me see if it takes the same type of hold on a second. Let me see if it takes the same type of okay, now I've got it. I think I've got it. See what I'm going to do now. See if we can try this. Welcome back, Emma. I like workshop magic better. See, this is what I kind of changed over here. This is the block style that we did first. This one right here on the far left. Then we have this style. We have that style. I don't even know what that style is, but maybe we'll try this style this time. It's called a acrylic alphabet. Is that right? Acrylic alphabet. That's a block style. Block style is what we did. Acrylic alphabet. That's Hierogena alphabet. Wow, I'm lost. I need to go back to school. Well, let's try the Cyrillic alphabet. Oh, let's not. Wow, that's really weird. It's not regular letters, it's like weird stuff. Oh, how do I go back? Back, 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 back. Wrong button. All right. Come on, you silly thing. All right. Start over. Just like computer technology, when you're not sure, what you do is you just turn it on, turn it off, and turn it back on again. Let's see here. I hate to stay with block, though. Let's see what this one does. All right, we'll just stick with block. We won't get too fancy. At least we have a regular alphabet to work with then. So workshop magic, huh? Let's see if we can get that one. That's going to be tough. Oh, there we go. All right, W. Let's go back up. Now we need R. Now we need K. I wonder if maybe it's part of that artificial technology stuff, but maybe they'll eventually come up with where you can use like a speech to text type thing, or maybe they already have that. Where I could say WORK and it would go. Broop. Yeah, they probably already have it. All right, S. There we go. H. O. P. All right, now the doozy. I think this is space down there, isn't it? The far one on the right. That looks like a space, doesn't it? All right, let's see if that's a space, hopefully. Yes, it is. Okay, so now we need magic. Now we need magic. Literally, we need magic. Now we need an A. A G. An I. And a C. All right, workshop magic. Let's see if this, yeah. I have no idea. We'll give it a go. We'll give it a go. Workshop magic. Now I'm looking at the size of the letters and how much space I have left on this column. Workshop, let's see. Let me look at the size of the letters. WORK SHOP MA. It's not long enough, so I'm going to have to go with a new row, I think. I'm going to have to go with a new row. We'll put it right over here so we have enough space. All right, keep your fingers and toes crossed. Again, I am a student today with this Model 650 Opal, and we'll see how it turns out as far as workshop magic now. All right, you ready? All right, here we go. Double checking. Yes, I think I have everything correct. I hope I do. Feels like Willy Wonka right now. Let's see what happens. Here we go. I think we're on shop right now, as far as I can see. Now we're on magic. Hopefully we have enough room. Hopefully we have enough room. All right, let's see how close we got. Let's see how close we got. Oh yeah, it started to loop. It actually started to loop again. It keeps going and going and going and going. So we got an extra W that we didn't want. Well, we could certainly fix that. We could get rid of that W. But it shows you, you know, depending on the project that you're doing, and certainly there were older machines from probably the late 1960s, 70s for sure, that would have had embroidery type capabilities. But this machine just does it so easily, doesn't it? I'm going to put my thumb over the W over here so you can't see it. So yeah, it's fun, isn't it? It's fun being able to create. It's fun being able to create something like this. And the machine, because it's computerized and has all this programmed, it's so easy. It's so easy to do Scott workshop magic, and you know, it really was effortless other than us programming it in. That's again where if they have a speech to text type option for the sewing machines, maybe through artificial intelligence, we'll be able to just say a word and then the machine will capture that straight away, just like our phones do. But yeah, it probably won't be perfected right away, and it'll probably mess it up like our phones do sometimes as well. And our lock stitch. So you know what? All in all, I think I'm really impressed. You know, initially when you hear a Chinese machine, even when it has the badge mark of Husqvarna Viking, you're a little bit skeptical. How well is it going to stitch? What is the ease of operation? Well, you know what? Not having a lot of familiarity, blah, 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 with this Model 650, we were able to bumble through it and do some interesting things during this live stream. And I didn't practice any of this. We kind of figured it out together as we were going. And it reinforces the fact that they did a good job of designing the machine so that it's user friendly, even with somebody that's just sitting down to it for really the first time. And maybe that's part of that Swedish design and engineering, is making it user friendly. But this Model 650 did a really, really good job of laying down some really nice looking stitching and some creative stitching as well during this live stream. Yeah. Gonna check out one last thing here. Just curious about something real quick. I'll just do one more stitch and then we'll wrap this up. It's kind of hard to top this now that we did this, but we'll lay down one more stitch to kind of border it on this side. And I think we'll do like an X style stitch just for fun. Yeah. So this is the stitch I'm kind of looking at here. And again, I'm kind of lazy. I don't want to have to change the foot. We have an A foot on there right now, a universal foot. So I'm looking at that one as a strong possibility. I think it's kind of interesting looking. That's interesting looking too. I'll tell you what, let's see. That's option one. Option one is kind of the X thing. Option two. Option three. I'll keep it real simple because that's going to make it easier for me. There's option one. Option two. Option three. I'm just tempted. We already did that one. All right. So type in the live chat. Do you want to see option one, option two, or option three? 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3. All right. I'll go back to the beginning again. 1, 2. Is 2 clear or better? And 3. Like an eye test. Is 1 better or 2 better? 1, 2. Don't you hate when they do that? I find eye tests so annoying when they do that. It really is. So option 1, 2, or 3. All right. I'll see what y'all are typing. And I know Tuesdays they're going to be our smaller crowd. So we've had as many as 12 people in this live stream, and it's kind of dwindled down a little bit now. It's dwindled down. Oh, Emma's driving? I didn't know Emma was driving. Susie is the only one that I think the rest of you have dozed off. The rest of you have fallen asleep. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And Susie and Emma are in cahoots. They both said option 1. I thought someone would go for option 2. It looks kind of cool. But we'll do option 1 because that's all I'm getting. All the rest of you are going. You're sleeping on a Tuesday. Come on, you had a long weekend. For goodness sakes, get into the groove. Get into the groove. Come on. All right, we'll do option 1. We'll do option 1 just because there's no one else that is awake in the live stream right now. Everybody else fell asleep. Drink some coffee. Drink some coffee or a caffeinated drink. Come on, y'all. Come on. All right. Option 1. Here we go. Oh, and I didn't mention this also has a low bobbin thread indicator. So I'm not even going to look. I'm just confident that we have enough bobbin thread left. So oh yeah, we got a lot of bobbin thread left. Quite a bit. Yeah, this is kind of interesting. It's similar to the catacomb one that we did earlier. It's similar to that. When you look at it, it's just a little bit more compressed. No, it's a little bit bigger. I'm sorry. Now I'm looking at the wrong row. It's a little bit bigger than this one over here that we did in this row. Yeah, if you look at them side by side, they have similar attributes, but the sizing is different. The sizing is going to be different, isn't it? Sizing is different. I really am curious to try option 2. I might do that just to be a rebel. We might do option 2 to be a rebel. All right, so our top stitching right here, we just got done messing around with the monogramming stuff. I believe that's what this is called. The monogramming functions of this machine. We did some of that stuff there, and then we just did this stitch right here. And this model 650 just continues to deliver. It's not missing a beat. It's not missing a beat as we're going through these different stitch options. Doing a beautiful job. But you can see the similarities. There's like a larger block and then a double block over here in that pattern. They're just, they share attributes where you could use them in conjunction with each other and give a different effect, couldn't you? Give a totally different effect. Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with what this Model 650 has done. And during the 10 plus years that this owner, Sherry, has had this machine, other than this needle bar issue, which is just a product of the machine being used over and over again and experiencing a failure, the machine has continued to perform incredibly well. It's done incredibly well. I didn't take a lot of progress shots of this project, but I'll see if I can pull a couple up real quick and show you how filthy this machine was on the inside. Crazy filthy. So our lock stitch, we turn it over. Oh, I didn't cut my thread. Ah, there we go. I almost got it. Our lock stitching over here. Gorgeous stitching throughout. Gorgeous stitching. So you know what? We as vintage people can be a little bit persnickety sometimes when it comes to computerized machines. And we can be equally persnickety when it comes to machines that are built elsewhere than the origin country. In other words, if we have a German machine and it's not built in Germany, we're skeptical of it. If we have a Swedish based machine company like this that builds a machine in China, like this Model 650 Opal, we're skeptical. At least I am a little bit. But sometimes we can get a pleasant surprise. Again, more marketing than anything, but when they put this marketing mark down here that says designed and engineered in Sweden, there's probably a lot more truth to that than I would have thought initially as I see how this machine performs. And I see the quality. I see the quality of the stitching that it's laying down. That's really the big deal, isn't it? The big deal isn't what they say. It's not what they print in their manual. It's not what they do in their commercials or their collateral material, you know, that they hand out with the machine and they say, hey, look it, it's amazing. Ah. It's when you sit down to the machine, even as a student like me, not having a lot of experience at all, very, very little experience, like no experience with this Model 650. And yet we were able to get it to show its greatness during this live stream. We were able to see its greatness pop out through this monogramming stuff we did and through the stitching we did. And again, I've hit the tip of the iceberg with this Model 650. So you know what? If you're impressed with what I've done as a student with this machine, imagine if you acquired a machine like this to add to your inventory of great Swedish engineered, what do they say? Swedish designed and engineered machines, recognizing, yeah, it's contemporary, but it does a great job. And so, you know, again, someone that gets more intimate with this machine, like Sherry, that's had it for 10 years, could really, really demonstrate some amazing things with this machine that we weren't able to accomplish in this live stream today. So if you're even a little bit impressed and go, wow, that's some beautiful stitching, imagine how impressed you'll be if you acquire one of these machines and you become intimate with it and you're like, I could teach Scott a thing or two. You bet you could. I say it all the time. Sometimes a teacher, always a student. And when I encounter a machine like this, that's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. And I'm coming out of a long weekend with Easter, and I don't have as much prep time as I want with this machine to become even minusculely intimate with it so I can demonstrate even more functions and features of it. But you're still going, I can see the greatness in that machine. It opens up your eyes to saying, okay, maybe I won't be a total snob when it comes to machines that are not traditionally vintage and machines that are made in China or elsewhere, because maybe, just maybe, they've got some greatness in them that I could discover and I could be in wonder of and go, wow, wow, that's impressive. I didn't know it could do that. That's really impressive. So I'm going to do one more stitch because I really want to see what this option 2 is all about. I want to see what this option 2 is all about. We've already seen these little glimpses of greatness during this live stream. We kind of seen it's kind of wanting to show us. Yes, there it is. There it is. Catching a little bit of the glimpses of greatness. Turn it around. There we go. There we go. Now we can actually read it. So let's see this last stitch. I'm just curious about this last stitch, and we can begin to wrap things up. If you're in the middle of a conversation or you're meeting someone new or whatever, we'll be ending this live stream very shortly. Very, very shortly. And it looks like we've been going about a little bit over 2 hours, 2 hours and 17 minutes. So I'm going to check out this last stitch now as I bump this material. Go back there. Stay right there. Yes. Which way was it? No, it wasn't that way, Scott. It was the other way. Go the other way. Well, we already saw that one. Yes. That's the one I want to check out right there. That was our option 2. No one picked it, but it looks interesting to me. Option 2 is interesting. And even option 3 is interesting. I'm going to do them both. I'm going to do both of them. I'll do option 2, then I'll do option 3. And then we'll wrap up this live stream. We will wrap it up. Let's do option 2. It looks different to me. I'd like to see what it looks like on the 100% cotton material. All right, here we go. This is option 2. It's getting warm. It's supposed to get up. If you look at the weather for Wisconsin and Oconto, we're having some crazy warm weather this week. I think it's going to get up in the 70s, almost the 80s. So yeah, I've already got my flip-flops going on. A lot of the local folks they kind of gauge the weather based on how I dress. So if they see my flip-flops go on, they're going to be putting away the snow blowers and getting out the lawnmowers. So I had my flip-flops on this morning, and I'm going to be putting on shorts pretty quick. I still have long pants on right now, but I'm going to be doing shorts very, very quickly. And then people will be like, okay, summer's here. Scott has his shorts on. Yeah, really. It's a small town. It's amazing the influence that you have over people. It's kind of fun. All right, option 2. Let's see what this looks like. I'm so curious. Yes. Try motion. And as you listen to this machine, notice that it's not clanky. It doesn't sound tinny. It doesn't sound plasticky, whatever plasticky sounds like. It's just a quality, solid machine. It really is. Again, Chinese made, but it has that Swedish design and engineering. And I think they've done a generally brilliant job on this machine, haven't they? And it's why Sherry loves this machine. She just loves it. All right. I'm going to do that last stitch as well. I'm going to call it kind of the mountain stitch, and then we'll wrap this up. And again, thank you to everybody that joined us. I know coming out of a long weekend with Easter and that, it throws a little bit of a wrinkle into the week. Like I said, I'm still kind of out of my groove right now. I'm not totally in my groove. And I appreciate everybody taking time to join us. I think we had a nice turnout. And again, thank you to the moderating team. Thanks to the leadership team for taking care of the family. Also, let me pull one other thing up real quick to show you something. And it has little or nothing to do with what we're doing, but you know what? I'll show it to you anyway. Let's see if I can find it. Hold on. So some of you that do Facebook, know that we, all the way home, we as Cow Country Family America sent a goodie package to the Askarov family, Alex and Yana and the family and the grandkids, etc. And because Alex in some of his Facebook posts was wearing an eye patch because he was getting double vision during his chemotherapy for cancer. And if some of you are saying, I know nothing about this, it's probably because you're not on Facebook, because most everyone else knows that we put together a fun goodie package. It had candy in it, it had pirate stuff, it had little glass bottles, all kinds of fun stuff that Alex and the grandkids and Yana could play with. And I posted some pictures of Alex and Yana's grandkids, but they actually sent me a video too. Does anyone want to see the little video clip? It's only 6 seconds. It's only 6 seconds. If anyone wants to see the video clip, type it in the live chat and I'll show it to you. Otherwise, I won't show it to you. And I'll just keep it to myself. And you'll be like, well, that's kind of selfish. Yeah, but if you're not saying anything, how do I know what you want? Right? All right. So if you want to see the video clip, type it in the live chat. If you don't care, then don't do anything. That's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Ah! Ah! Oh, hello to Kathy King. Kathy wants to see it. Kathy wants to see it. And the kids talk very softly, so you may have a little bit of trouble hearing them. Matter of fact, maybe I'll move the microphone a little bit closer. Hold on a second. All right, I moved the microphone closer. You can see I've got the mic right there now. All right, this is the little clip that Yana sent me, which I thought was really cute. Let me bump it up.
Thank you, Pirate Scott. Thank you, Pirate Scott.
One more time.
Thank you, Pirate Scott. Thank you, Pirate Scott.
Well, if you can't hear what the little girls are saying, Yana and Alex's grandchildren, they're saying, thank you, Pirate Scott. So apparently that's my nickname now over in the UK, is everyone is going to stop saying Cow Country or Cow Country Family, and they're going to say, go and watch the channel that Pirate Scott does, because it's gotten an endorsement from the Askarov grandchildren. Yeah. But they are cute little girls. If you didn't see them, they are just absolutely adorable. And I'm sure that Alex and Yana agree as well that their grandchildren are absolutely adorable. Okay, hold on a second. We're going to do one more stitch off, but I got to find something else real quick. One more thing real quick. Hold on. Getting close, getting close. All right, hang in there a second. Be patient. Smartphones are always smarter than us, so it takes a little while to find what we're looking for. We're still connected. We're still connected. Just taking me a little bit longer. And if you don't do Facebook, this is off topic a little bit, but that's pretty typical for me. If you don't do Facebook, you miss interesting things. I'll show you the pictures of this machine first. Kind of gives you an idea of the buildup in there that was just really choking this machine out, choking it out dramatically. Down here in the gears. Now, this is what you're missing if you don't do Facebook. Hold on a second. Probably going to get flagged for that. I should probably turn it down. At any rate, it's been great having everybody here today. I'm going to do one more stitch line and then we'll wrap this up. All right, hold on. We bump it to the next stitch. This is the mountain stitch now. And this will be our final stitch of the live stream. Final stitch. And Susie is providing all the links via Facebook, which is great. Thank you for doing that, Susie. All right, our final stitch off on this Husqvarna Viking Opal Model 650. Again, from a series of 600 machines that would have come out about 13 years ago, 14 years ago, that Husqvarna put out. This is the Model 650. They also came out with a Model 670 and then also a Model 690Q as well. All right, here we go. Give it a listen. Here we go. You notice this particular stitch pattern, I'm calling it the mountain pattern, has no tri-motion. All you're seeing is needle movement, or all you're experiencing is needle movement. Oops, I got to move the microphone. Well, thank you again to Sherry Berman, and thank you to Joanne Fabrics, previously known. Now they call themselves Joanne's because they do more than just fabrics. Thank you to both of those folks, Joanne's and also Sherry, for giving us an opportunity to kind of open our eyes up to the possibilities of a machine like this that by definition is definitely not vintage, but it kind of gives us some different options and considerations when it comes to what it can deliver from a computer standpoint, computer assisted standpoint. There we go. Almost got that clipped. Okay, we'll take a look at this last stitch line, the totality of it. This is our top stitching. You look at all the stitching that we did during this live stream. Sideways as well. Kind of gives us a different perspective, doesn't it? There's that mountain style stitch on the bottom. And then we'll look at the lock stitch, and it's kind of nice to look at the lock stitch because then in the camera, it makes it easier to read what we did. Well, maybe it doesn't. That was the correct side. I have no idea. Maybe it's how I hold it. Hold it like this. There we go. There we go. Now I have it orientated sort of kind of right. This is our lock stitch. And again, just ignore that extra W on the end over there. I'll put my finger over it. But it's fun to see new machines, even if they are not traditional vintage machines. As long as they have those roots of design and engineering from a company that I think all of us have a high degree of respect and regard for, Husqvarna Viking, for Husqvarna Viking. Again, their roots go all the way back to the 1600s when they were drilling in a grinding plant. And they made their first sewing machine around 1872. But they're a company that's been around forever. And even though they're making their machines elsewhere, they're not making them in Sweden anymore. And we're not making them in Sweden when this model 650 was made. They still have that engineering quality and that design quality. And I think the evidence is how the machine performed today. All right. Well, thanks for joining again on a busy Tuesday after a long weekend. And there's only one way I can face it so you can actually read what we wrote. I think it's that way. Yeah. All right. Well, take care, everybody. God bless. And I'll probably be presenting Maxwell LaFawn's Model 230 this coming Saturday. And it's possible we'll be getting some more machines arriving this week after the Easter holiday. And I'll present those as live stream unboxings as well. So take care, everybody. Thanks again to the leadership team for taking care of the family. And God bless you. See ya. Got to cover that extra W. Cover the W. Oh, there's my little stand that Susie gave me. See you on Saturday. Have a great week. Take care. God bless.